Hello and welcome to That Atheist Show. I'm Preston, that atheist dude.
And I'm Connie, that atheist lady.
One topic that we want to talk about today, it's a really hot topic. I see it pop up in my thread all the time. People are posting their profile pics with it in it. We're going to talk about the Confederate flag. It's a very controversial topic at this time, especially since Dylan Roof, a few weeks ago, murdered 9 people in South Carolina, Charleston, in a church, one of them being a state senator. Uh, Soon after the murders happened, it was found on his Facebook profile that he had waved the flag in almost all of his pictures, supporting white supremacy and the such. One thing that we want to get into are the facts of the Confederate flag and just kind of explain the history behind it as much as we can with what we know. The Confederate flags, there were 3 actual depictions of the Confederate flag. The first Confederate flag, as you can see, is the third one. It's from 1861. This is the ensign flag, and then the first one to the left there, the 1861, is the Navy Jack flag. As you can see, the third one there, the first one that was used on the ground, very similar to the colonial flag. Actually, during battle, through the smoke and fog of war, they would see this flag and they would confuse it for the Union. So that caused a lot of unnecessary deaths. What they had to do in 1863 was change it to the battle flag that we know now. The fourth flag from 1863 to 1865 has the big white section on it, and the second one there is the Navy Jack. Of course, that ended up being the primary flag for everybody representing the Confederacy soon after, or after the war, basically. So a lot of people are waving this flag around and they're saying that it doesn't represent racism, or it doesn't represent the Confederacy and their views. It represents Southern heritage. I grew up in Florida, very South Florida, like straight across from Miami, but it was kind of a tourist city, but it still had its fair share of Southern heritage, I guess you could say. I mean, they were kind of the people that I would see with the Confederate flags that were my friends, I knew that they weren't racist, obviously, because they were hanging out with me. It was cool, and I understand what their view was of the flag, but I never wanted to meet their family members because I knew that they would most likely be racist. That's just the fact of the flag. If you're going to carry around the Confederate flag, it's okay to do that on private property. It's legal. You're not going to be banned anywhere for doing it, but you have to accept that people are going to think you're a racist for having that flag because of what it actually represents. Now, we want to get into what it actually represents. To get into what it represents, we want to get into the foundation of the Confederacy. To get to the foundation of the Confederacy, you'd have to find what the president or vice president said represented the Confederacy. The vice president actually made what's called a cornerstone speech. This cornerstone speech represents what the Confederacy is all about. As you could see within the first sentence here, we'll just read that out for you. Our new government is founded upon exactly the opposite idea. Its foundations are laid, its cornerstone rests upon the great truth that the Negro is not equal to the white man, that slavery, which is subordination to the superior race, is his natural and normal condition. I almost don't want to read it, but right immediately after that is the word applause, meaning people were applauding.
Clapped.
They were like, yeah! So, addition to that, we'll go to the source of this transcript. It was delivered without notes. He spoke it from his heart. He spoke it without notes present. So there was nothing for somebody to grab and say, hey, this is the exact words that he said. But a local newspaper, of course, had a transcript of what he heard the vice president say. This was accepted because, obviously, your vice president is speaking, you want to spread what he said, and if the vice president is to see what you copied him say and it was wrong, he would, not allow it to go into print. This is what he said. These are the facts. This is what...
Yeah, he never contested it. He never said he didn't say it. That's what he said. So
Right,
whenever they try to say... When they try to say that no, the Confederacy was all about states' rights and it didn't have anything to do with slavery and all that stuff, that's obviously not the case. Like, there's no basis in actual fact or history anywhere that says that it wasn't about slavery. They're just trying to make it sound better because they just like the flag, I guess. I don't know why they do this. It baffles me and confuses me, actually. Like, I just don't understand it.
Well, the real thing that baffles and confuses everybody is the fact that even black people support the flag. They actually wave it proudly, and they say this is for Southern heritage. This is not for racism. Now, my opinion on that, what I think is the reason that people do this as black people, is that during that time, the slaves were obviously uneducated. Slaves being uneducated obviously means that it's easy to talk them into going to war for you and to represent something that they shouldn't represent. And then their families back home, the next generations are being raised on this idea that their family was fighting for something brave and something awesome, when in reality it was something very oppressive. So, over generations, people are just getting accustomed to the idea that their parent fought for this and things like that. And then even the newer generations, the reason that the flag was brought back into existence after the Civil War was over, after the South was defeated, is because during the 50s, the Civil Rights Movement, the white supremacists brought the flag back out. They said, no, we want segregation. We want the South to come back. We want this to happen. And that's the whole reason that it even exists now. I mean, it's a defeated part of the country. Like, it doesn't exist, It's kind of crazy.
But in Oklahoma City, there was a little rally of like 90 or so people, and we have a video clip of it, and it's really strange because apparently, according to this video clip, it was organized by a black person who calls himself the Black Rebel.
Yes, so we'll play that for you here.
And led by Andrew Duncombe, who calls himself Black.
Good evening. A group of Oklahomans paraded through the metro today, flying Confederate flags from their vehicles. They also rallied at the state capitol in support of what they say is a symbol of heritage, not hate. Their efforts have garnered quite the response since. News 9's Christy Lewis is here with the story.
Yeah, Carl, even though this topic is trending right now because of recent events out of state, many Oklahomans here are fired up about the Confederate flag. Today, dozens of people on both sides of the spectrum made their voices heard.
This group of Oklahomans spent the day parading through the metro on a mission led by Andrew Duncombe, who calls himself Black Rebel.
This is us trying to say that we have our rights, we have a right to fly our flag. We want to keep them up. We're not taking them down.
Andrew and about 30 other trucks carrying Confederate flags drove together, taking their spectacle from street to street and making a stop at the state capitol.
Our goal was to show that the South isn't about racism. Everybody out here that's flying this flag don't believe that it's about hate and color. They believe that it's about Southern pride and heritage. Thank you, ma'am.
The group ended up on the city's west side, parked at a place where honks and hollers could be heard, some in support of their display.
Just because it offends somebody, they take it down.
But the backlash wasn't far behind. We received calls and comments from hundreds of people, many extremely disappointed in what went on.
I just wish that they would just stop the hate.
For Russell Rodriguez, the flag is flown only by those harboring racist beliefs.
Just a lot of racial hatred. To me, people can say, it's a part of history, part of the South, part of the Southern heritage, this and that, but to me, the Confederate flag has always stood for nothing but hate, always will be.
And Andrew hopes that will change. Despite his concerns with keeping what he calls his heritage alive, he asks that people forget the flag's association with racism.
And the group said they saw their fair share of hate today in person. They even claimed they received death threats. Christy Lewis, News 9.
Yeah, so they received death threats.
Yeah. What really confuses me about the fact that we even had this happen in Oklahoma City is that Oklahoma wasn't even a state until 1907. And a lot of people in Oklahoma are like, yeah, I'm an Oklahoman, I'm a Southerner, and all this stuff. And it's like they don't even seem to realize that Oklahoma wasn't, like, there were battles that happened here, but, like, we weren't part of the Confederacy. So the Confederate flag is not part of Oklahoma heritage. And so I don't understand.
It's just all kinds of confusion.
Yeah, like, I don't get it. I'm just like, what is this? Why is this happening? And do people really not know these things? I've just been so confused the past week or so over all this stuff because I've been seeing it flooding my chat feed, and like, I'm proud to be an Oklahoman, and I'm proud to be, I'm proud of my Southern heritage and all this. I'm just like, what are you guys talking about?
Yeah, it's pretty crazy, really. I see a lot of people from, I mean, Kid Rock is from Detroit, and he just came out in support of the Confederate flag, and he's like, I'm a rebel. And it's just like, no, you're not. Like,
yeah, he's like, my Southern heritage, and it's like, dude, you're not even from the South.
It's like having an accent doesn't make you from the South. It doesn't mean you're Confederate, just having like that Southern drawl and giving it to yourself too. I mean,
yeah.
Where did he get that from? You got that from listening to too much country music and then mixing it with rock. That's where he got it from. It's just, it's crazy. It really is crazy. And one thing that's happening in Texas is that well, you want to lead into that?
Yeah, in Texas, they are denying birth certificates to children of immigrants that, like, if they don't have visas, like the parents don't have visas, so they are denying citizenship to these newborn babies, and they won't give them a birth certificate or a social security number, even though the 14th Amendment says that if you are born here in the United States, regardless of the citizenship status of your parents, you are a citizen and you will be given a birth certificate and a social security number. And this amendment was added to the Constitution in 1868. And apparently down there in Texas, they're completely unaware of this or something. I don't know, but we tried really hard before the show to find some kind of justification for why they're doing this, and all we could find was the governor talking about Obama's immigration reform and how it's hurting Texas and all of this stuff.
And that their tax money is having to go towards these immigrants, and it's just like, the immigrants are working. Like, they're working and paying taxes and all of that. Like, what are you talking about? And we actually have a video of Governor Abbott talking about it with a local ABC. This is part of their interview here. I'm going to go ahead and play it.
And so we asked Governor Abbott to respond to the people who were affected by this. And here's what he had to say. You could listen to this woman, who's quite compelling.
I feel like he doesn't understand that this is not about President Obama. It's about other families. This is not about a fight that he wants to have and he wants to feed President Obama. This is about us. This is about real families who need to be able to survive and to have better lives and to not live under the shadow and not being afraid to stop families getting separated.
No compassion for her.
I've got compassion for everyone. But in the Constitution, it requires the president to follow the law. There's no article or Bill of Rights in the Constitution that says compassion allows the president to circumvent the rules of the Constitution.
Hey, Preston, I can't hear you. You were really muffled, and now all I hear is myself echoing back at myself.
Oh, I had the mute on.
Okay.
That's terrible. So
I could kind of hear you, but I couldn't fully hear you, so I didn't know if it was me or if it was you or what was going on. Okay. But basically, he didn't even address the actual problem that's going on here of them denying citizenship to infants that the Constitution says are, should be awarded citizenship. And
yeah, if
he said crap about compassion, and I'm just like, this doesn't have. What are you talking about?
Yeah, like if like I have up on the screen right now the Amendment 14, Section 1, all persons born or naturalized in the United States and subject to the jurisdiction thereof are citizens of the United States and of the state wherein they reside. No state shall make or enforce any law which shall abridge the privileges or immunities of citizens of the United States, nor shall any state deprive any person of life, liberty, or property without due process of law, nor deny to any person within its jurisdiction the equal protection of the laws. So this is protecting people that came here and are born here.
To be able to be citizens because they were born here, and it's not their fault that their parents aren't legal. Like, they're here, they should be treated like citizens, just like anybody else that, was born here. And he's saying that it's making illegal. He's saying that these people are they're getting benefits and they aren't legal. But the thing is it's like, in order to get benefits, you have to have a birth certificate and a social security number. So the parents won't be getting benefits. It would be the babies that are getting benefits. So he's saying that it's hurting the state for these babies to be getting benefits. But now now with the state not issuing them birth certificates and you can't get a social security number unless you have your birth certificate issued. It's making it to where the babies can't even get benefits. So he has a problem with immigrants coming in and using taxpayer money, blah, blah, blah. And the only way that he can prevent immigrants from using taxpayer money is to make it to where the only members of their family eligible for benefits can't be eligible for benefits by denying them the proper documentation to receive it.
Yeah, to receive government assistance even if they need it. And they're working hard. They're working hard without government assistance because they can't get government assistance. So it's just like, where
and
is
it's
the
like,
argument even coming from?
And you can't be enrolled in school. You can't go to daycare. You can't anything unless you have your social security card and your birth certificate. So
here in New York, they just released an ID.
immunized.
They just released an ID card here, like a universal one, where it doesn't matter if you're legal or illegal. You can go get a card, go get a driver's license, and go do things that you need to do. Go get an account at a bank. That's especially the biggest thing, is that it doesn't matter if you're an immigrant or not, or if you're illegal or not, you're able to now get a bank account. Most people can't do that. They have to work off cash. They have to get paid under the table and all this stuff. So.
Yeah, and also they're only denying people who have Mexican IDs and Central American IDs. Like, they're not enforcing this stupid new policy that they've put into place for immigrants from, like, Europe. Like, if you're Irish and you have a baby in Texas and you only have your passport that says you're from Ireland, they will let that baby get all of the documentation. They're only doing this to Hispanics.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. Just have no idea where all this is coming from. It's just a ridiculous GOP versus Democrat party, gerrymandering, all that bull crap. But we want to get to a more positive note. We want to talk about Pluto. Pluto, right now, actually, there's a New Horizons satellite that is flying through space, It is very near to Pluto at this moment. It's taking a bunch of pictures, and we only have one so far. It's a beautiful picture, though. Looks, I don't know, some people said it looks like a heart, but I just don't see that. And we have a little video here. It's going to explain what's going on with the New Horizon. So, 3, 2, 1.
The date was January 19th.
Hold on 1 second. Three, 2, 1.
The date was January 19th, 2006, Cape Canaveral, Florida. A spacecraft the size of a grand piano left Earth on top of a rocket traveling 36,000 miles per hour.
This is New Horizons. It's a NASA probe, and its mission is to complete our initial tour of the solar system by flying past Pluto and its moons.
On board are 7 scientific instruments, a generator fueled by decaying plutonium, and a few other things.
It has a container filled with the ashes of Clyde Tombaugh, that's the astronomer who discovered Pluto back in 1930. It has 2 American flags, 2 state quarters from Florida and Maryland, a CD-ROM filled with the names of 400,000 people who signed up back in 2005, a CD-ROM with pictures of the New Horizons team, a piece of Spaceship One, that's the first privately owned spacecraft, and a US stamp from 1991 that says, Pluto, not yet explored.
So New Horizons has been flying for more than 9 years now, and its date with Pluto has finally arrived. To understand how big this is, you have to get that Pluto is really far away.
It's really, really far away. Billions of miles away.
So back in grade school, when we modeled the solar system, it kind of looked like this, but actually this is a huge lie.
Okay, so if Earth were the size of a basketball, Pluto would be the size of a golf ball. And at that same scale, the distance between them...
Okay, tell me when to stop.
Keep going. Keep going. Okay, now go outside. Get on a train.
Wait, what?
The golf ball would be over 50 miles away.
Holy
Yeah, and that's at its closest distance from us. And at the same scale, New Horizons, NASA's robot, would be a tiny fraction of the size of a grain of sand.
And despite this immense distance, NASA's engineers have successfully guided New Horizons toward its target, and they're retrieving data back over radio waves, very slowly.
The radio waves take 4.5 hours to come all the way from New Horizons to us. NASA has to use 200-foot wide antennas just to even detect the signal. And the download speed is 1 kilobit per second.
So 1 kilobit per second, how slow is that exactly?
So if you had an image that's 1024 pixels wide, it would take about 40 minutes just to download it. That's 50 times slower than your dial-up modem from the 90s.
And one of the key pieces of data that New Horizons will be retrieving is good photos of Pluto.
Right now, we don't have any good photos of Pluto. The best things we have from the Hubble Space Telescope, it still looks like a blurry blob. But New Horizons is going to return historic, high-definition photos of Pluto. It already got some great shots of Jupiter when it flew by in 2007 to use the giant planet's gravity as a slingshot.
So right now, New Horizons is traveling at over 31,000 miles per hour. And it's pretty much used up all its fuel, so it can't slow down as it approaches the target. So all of these observations are going to be happening really quickly. And after that?
After that, New Horizons is just going to keep going. Then in 2019, engineers are going to fly it past another small icy object at the edge of the solar system to collect more data.
And as for Pluto, it'll continue on around the Sun, taking 248 years to complete one revolution.
So that means the entire history of the United States has unfolded in the time it's taken Pluto to orbit the Sun once. The last time Pluto was in its current position, we didn't understand how species evolved or how germs transmitted diseases.
Wow.
Aviation was still decades away, and spaceflight wouldn't happen for nearly 200 years. But this time around, when Pluto finishes its orbit, it's going to be met by a tiny robot, sent by a curious species of apes, living on a planet billions of miles away.
Yeah, so that's amazingly exciting. I was around 16 when that thing went off, and back then I had
20.
Like back then I had just been coming out of like being atheists, and my knowledge of the universe and what is capable and what is out there, I mean, I thought Pluto was just like a big blue rock. I was just like, what's the big deal? I mean, I remember thinking even far before that, you know, why even make all these planets if they're just there? Like, why create all of this? What's the point? Why not just make Earth and the sun by itself? And now we're flying a satellite out there taking HD pictures of it.
Yeah, it's crazy.
It really is. It's a beautiful thing.
And Pluto's on Pluto.
I have to pull that up, actually.
Yeah. That cracked me up because everybody was saying it was a heart, and I'm like, I don't see a heart. And then whenever I saw the Pluto on Pluto, I was like, it is. It's Pluto on Pluto. Everything makes sense now.
Yeah, that's awesome, really. I mean, for a second there, it wasn't even a planet, you know? For a second there, it was just like, they just thought it was what? What did they think when it wasn't?
It's still a dwarf planet.
It's a dwarf planet just because it's so small, but it's still how much bigger than the Earth? It's 50 times bigger? Something like that.
I didn't know it's bigger. See, I don't know. All I know is that Pluto is a really long ways away, and that when I was a kid, it was a planet, and now they made it not a planet, and it's not. It wasn't very nice to demote Pluto.
It's pretty awesome, though.
Mm-hmm. But hopefully tomorrow NASA is going to release all of the flyby pictures, because right now all we have are the approach pictures, but the flyby pictures are going to be released tomorrow. So that's going to be neat to see what those look like.
Yeah, we'll be presenting those next week, actually. We'll have those videos ready to go to show what it looks like to pass Pluto. Take HD pictures.
Yeah.
And this is Pluto on Pluto. Taking that little shadow there. That's pretty awesome.
Yep.
And, I mean, it had an artist rendering in that video there that looked awesome, but this looks just so much cooler than what an artist can think to put on a paper or to put on a canvas.
Yeah.
The actual HD pictures. It's amazing what's out there, all that we have to discover. Never
and then
stop.
we'll find out how far it can go and how many other things it can take pictures of that we might not even know are out there.
And that'll take longer to download. I mean,
yeah.
Once it gets below a kilobyte a second, it's just going to take like 10 years to download one picture.
Yeah. It's gonna take forever.
Yeah.
But it'll be worth it to find out
what's out there.
You know, to see things.
I'm sure eventually they'll make some kind of spaceship that'll go out there and grab it and bring it back or something like that. And just find out what's going on. Warp speed out there or something like that.
Just beam it back once we
right.
figure out teleportation.
Exactly. Yeah, Pluto's a fun subject. We'll have a lot more on that next week. But we want to thank everybody for watching. Definitely everybody who's been here supporting us. Subscribe to our channel. Check us out on Twitter, Instagram, That Atheist Show. Go to our website, thatatheistshow.com. Join our mailing lists. We've got all kinds of exciting things coming. We just started, so we're a little bit slow coming up because it's only been about 2 weeks, but we've got a lot of cool stuff coming, so definitely stay tuned.
Yep, we got a new logo being made that we can't wait to be able to show everybody.
Yes.
And
we have an animation eventually being made.
Yeah, we're going to have an intro and outro animation, so it's just going to get better. So just hang in there with us. Thank you for being with us so far. And
feedback is huge. Please email us at preston@thatatheistshow.com or connie@thatatheistshow.com. Suggestions at thatatheistshow.com. If you have any local articles or any local news of anything going on, and you want to just share it with everybody, just email us, and we'll look it over, make sure that the evidence is there, because we are where evidence matters, and please give us feedback.
Yep. So thanks, everybody. You've been watching That Atheist Show. Come see us again next week, Tuesday at 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Have a good night, everyone.
Have a good night. And we want to thank Atheist Analysis for being behind us. Katie Brotherton, Johnny Brotherton, you guys are awesome. Helped us out a lot. And you all have a great night.